Good morning, guys. Welcome to Sports Bros. Another episode. Here with my guys, KJ and Amos, all day, every day. We are missing somebody today. Alan, he will be back tomorrow, next week. Right now, we're going to start off with the NBA basketball playing tournament. And remember, guys, also before we even start, we want you guys to like and subscribe. Give us any comments you guys want to know about, any opinions you guys have of what we're talking about, and just let us know what you guys like, and we can go on from there. But to start it off today, we have the playing tournament, guys. We got the seven through 10 seed playing on each side. The Eastern Conference has the Hawks against the Heat, the Bulls versus the Raptors, and in the West, you got the Lakers versus the Timberwolves, and the OKC Thunder versus the New Orleans Pelicans. KJ, tell me what you think. Who do you like? Why do you like them? And what do you expect to see in it?
So, I'll start out. We'll do the East first. So for my team, obviously didn't make the full playoffs. We're in the play-in, Miami. We're playing the AC at Atlanta. I think we could take care of them. We took care of them last year in the playoffs. It's one game. We've been playing very good down the stretch. Like, even if we lose, I've been watching the games and we've been playing pretty good. You know, if Udonis Haslem gives us another 24, we're winning every game. So, but with that said, I got Miami going on to play Boston, and then the Atlanta, and then the 9-10 seed. I don't know. The Bulls have been real hot the last month of the regular season. So I got them beating Toronto, and then I got them beating Atlanta for the 8th seed. I've never really believed in Atlanta, even when they were when they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Nobody believed that they were gonna win. Trae Young, he's just too. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like he puts up a lot of empty stats. Because I remember last year, like, even though Embiid had the points per game locked up leader, Trae Young had the most points because he played more games than Embiid. He had the most total points and he had the most total assists. But what has it led to? It has led to a 41-41 record. And just like I said last week, they are the most mid team in the whole league right now. I've never really liked their situation between. What were you say?
But also, you gotta know, like, you can't, like, the Hawks. You know, they can get hot at any time. And
True.
Remember, we were talking about that stat you guys were talking about last time about them winning one game, losing one game, and not having higher than a 2-game winning streak. And look at them now, right now on a 3-game winning streak. If you think about it, I believe
that just means they're on track to lose.
I'm not sure.
I'll check it out. But yeah. like I said, I've never been very confident in that Trae Young, John Collins duo, and then they added a non-shooter in DeJounte. So now you got 2 ball handlers, one that can't really shoot, and one that can't get to the bucket. Yeah, together they would be the best point guard in the league. But there's 2 separate players. That means you have one less shooter on the floor. I don't know about their injury status. Do you know if anybody's injured for them?
The way I look at it, I'm not too sure. I don't believe so. I think they have everybody coming. Huh?
They're fine. They're healthy.
Yeah. They're healthy. So that's another thing that scares me about them, because that Hunter kid is good. Not the kid from Sacramento.
Yeah, DeAndre Hunter.
But the other one.
Yeah.
Remember, they play defense. If they can hold your team down too, they don't need to score. So that's why I'm letting you know. You know, we can't sleep on the Hawks. But you do have good points about not trusting them. But at the same time, that coach is brand new, barely coming in this year and doing what he's doing. That is very impressive. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Dan Snyder.
Quinn Snyder?
Oh, Quinn, yeah. Sorry. It's his first year coaching that team.
And he came in like halfway through the year.
Halfway through the season.
But they got essentially the same record they had with Nate McMillan.
That's literally what I was going to say, KJ. I mean, it hasn't been that impressive. He's literally just, like you said, it's basically he just took over for Nate basically, and they've been 500 basically since, except for the last couple games.
But look what Nate did in that little span that he had. How do we know that what's the name can't do this for them? Snyder can't do this for them. So
I'm looking at it. It's everybody in their starting lineup right now is injured, but that's probably just so that they didn't get fined or anything for not playing the last game. It says he will not play. Trae Young didn't play against the Celtics because of groin soreness, left ankle soreness for DeJounte, lower back tightness for John Collins. So yeah, we can't go off injuries on ESPN because they're just being reported to as false.
The NBA for the NBA has almost turned into NFL's week 17. Now it's week 18, obviously.
Yeah.
Our teams set out their players, not even just the last two games. So yeah, if you look at the box score,
I remember last year, didn't Obi Toppin have like a 40-point game, and then like today or yesterday, that kid that was playing that got drafted by Memphis, he was in the D League all year, and then he comes in and plays. They signed him to a 4-year, $7 million deal, and he comes in on that last game against OKC and drops 42 and 14.
Yeah,
and it's just like, okay, well, that's his season averages because he only played one game. He averages 42 points and 14 rebounds.
True. But like I said, I like what you're saying. You're sounding right. Who did you end up picking? Oh, you said
so Miami plays Boston, and then the Bulls play Milwaukee.
Okay, I like that. Do you feel like any of those two teams can do something against that 1 or 2 seed?
I think that Miami can, just because we've played Boston so many times. We played them in the last 3 years. We played against them in 2 conference finals, and then 2021 we got eliminated by the Bucks. But yeah, we've played them. We know their schemes. I know Jaylen Brown was out with an actual injury the last week or so. But I mean, we'll see. I feel like, yeah, like I said, we've played them so many times, and I feel like Boston is one of those teams where their bench depth, they really only have like Marcus. They don't really have very many scorers like a lot of these other teams. Like, yeah, you got Derek White, but he like starts half the time. But we can actually play Duncan Robinson in this kind of series because there's not too many people that he will be so bad defensively that you can't play him.
That's like you said, that's good. Okay then. So thank you. What's up, Amos? So how do you feel about this playing in the East? Let me know. Just like I asked KJ, we have the Heat against the Hawks. That's the 7th and 8th seed, and then we got the Bulls against the Raptors. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, so I'll go with the latter one first. The Bulls versus the Raptors. I'm not too interested in that series, admittedly, because I just don't see any of those two teams being able to go too far. The Raptors, they don't have a lot of top heavy talent, though they do have a lot of young talent. As far as, excuse me one second. Oh my gosh. So as far as the Raptors go, like I said, I think they've been kind of hovering around 500 for most of the year. Efren, I know you're a big Bulls guy, obviously, and I think for a while it looked like the Bulls weren't even going to make it, and I know they've dealt with a lot of injuries as well. But if I had to go off of that series alone, you know what? I think I'm gonna have to go with the Raptors. I'm gonna go ahead and take that home court advantage over the Bulls having to play on the road. As you guys both know, Toronto is a really hard place to play at, especially having all in Canada. And then I just think Toronto's depth is going to give the Bulls problems. I just think they have the defensive talent, they have the wings to be able to give DeMar some issues. I know Levine's going to have to score a lot as well, but I just think that their wings can defend them pretty decently. So I just like the Raptors in that one game. If we transfer it over to the Heat versus the Hawks, that's actually the series I'm a little more excited for. Trae Young, he's a dynamic guard. Before before Shea really broke out this year, people were talking about Trae being kind of that next guy. And, KJ kind of brought it up. This is the second year in a row where he's led the league in assist. And I want to say 4 years in a row now, he's been top 4 at least. So from an assist standpoint, he's lights out. He's always going to get his guys involved. And from a scoring standpoint, I know KJ says sometimes his stats can be a little empty, but he can stroke it. And in the playoffs, what you need people that can shoot. The half court opens up in the playoffs. And so the teams that can shoot, you can't just go ahead and sit paint. You can't literally shade off someone, because if they can shoot, you have to be a little closer. And so now all of a sudden it makes that paint a lot more open because all the defenders are closely to their guys. And so we get that DeJounte Murray, he's not a lights out shooter, but he's last couple of years though, he's been around, I want to say, league average. And so I'm not too worried about DeJounte.
Do you think that, because we played him last year and we shut down Trae Young, do you think that DeJounte helps create more space for Trae Young to actually do something this year?
I do, because last year Trae Young was having to have the ball in his hands a lot more. Now when you have someone like DeJounte, he's a phenomenal ISO player, not necessarily from the outside. You alluded to this. He's that guy that's going to be able to drive, kick it, but he can get in the paint very well. And so because he can have the ball in his hands now, you can have someone like Trae Young kind of have more of that Steph role, ideally, as far as, okay, off ball, let's go ahead and have him wrap around screens. Let's go ahead and get him to the box, and then flare out now to the corner, flare out to the wing, and do a lot more catch and shoot shots. And so the defense is going to be a lot less focused on Trae, because you have someone like DeJounte Murray, who you didn't have last year. And so I think in the playoffs time, especially having two ball dominant guards, it can actually help, because again, a lot of times people don't want the ball in just their hands in a tight game, in a tight situation. So I actually think having DeJounte is going to help out a lot more. This whole season, as we've kind of touched on, it's been kind of a struggle for the Hawks. They've been kind of trying to figure themselves out. It seemed like it took them a while to adapt with those two guys. Just having John Collins, excuse me, guys. Give me 1 second. Getting a phone call. So John Collins, he wasn't that ideal second option. He's never been. And there's been some issues with him and Trae Young in the past. And so now you get someone like DeJounte, and he's kind of Trae Young's secondary scorer. And so at the end of the day, I think Trae Young, he as he's shown before, he has the capabilities of carrying talent, carrying his whole roster, getting that upset in the playoffs, because he's done it before. And the team that you're going against is a team that's kind of struggled this year. With that said, though, between those two, the Heat and the Hawks, I'm actually going to go with the Heat. I like the Heat's experience more. They've done it before. Jimmy Butler, he's a dog, and he really is a dog in the playoffs. And so I just like the Heat's experience. I like the Heat's shooting more. Again, Trae Young's a dog. Having DeJounte Murray allows him to be off ball more, and so I don't think they're going to struggle as much shooting. But the Heat are just a better shooting team regardless. And so, you talk about the Heat's defensive team. I mean, you talk about Bam, you talk about Jimmy Butler, right? That's arguably the best wing defender in the league. That's arguably the best defending big in the league. So give me the Heat, give me their experience, give me their playoff experience over the Hawks, who, as we touched on earlier, just now started winning a few games in a row, right? So they've been that definition of 500 team. So despite me really liking Trae Young, I'm gonna have to go with the Heat over the Hawks in that series. And then, like I said earlier, my earlier series, go ahead and give me the Raptors. Give me the Raptors over Chicago.
Okay, what about
Atlanta versus Raptors?
And Raptors and the Hawks.
It was the Raptors versus.
No. So if the Raptors win, then they would play the Hawks for the 8th seed. Who would you have?
Gotcha. So yep. So then if the Raptors win and we have the Heat winning, right?
Yeah.
Would those be two? What would be the match then?
The Raptors versus the Hawks.
Raptors versus the Hawks. Okay, so then the Raptors versus the Hawks. I'm gonna go with the Hawks, and I think it would just kind of fit in with their whole season. They've now won a few games in a row. They then lose, and you think it's over now for them. Well, wait, they still have one more game, and so I'm taking Trae Young in a clutch performance. I'm taking him as an individual player over anybody the Raptors have, and I think he's just capable of being in that Game 7 situation of winning versus a team like the Raptors, who I'm not very high on. As well as the Hawks would have home court, right? They'd have that home court.
Yes.
The Raptors. So I like the Hawks in that matchup to then get to the actual playoffs. Then, so give me the Hawks.
Okay, just like I asked KJ, do you think any of the 7th seeds, so the Heat will play against Boston, of course, and the Hawks will play against
Milwaukee?
Do you think any of those two teams have a chance to do anything surprising against the number 1, 2 seed in the East?
No, I don't, and it's really just because I have such high faith in the Celtics. We had kind of touched off air about the whole Celtics and Heat, and they've had some good battles, and I know they have Jimmy Butler, they have Bam, but I just think overall the Celtics have been just so more consistent this year. They have more depth, they have better defense, and I just think they have more scoring, and it's always just really tough playing in Boston. You're not going to necessarily get the calls in Boston. No one really does. So I would take the Celtics certainly over them. And then the Bucks are just a championship level team. Okay. And I just don't think Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, I don't think they have enough help to beat a team like the Bucks, who are just championship level everywhere you look. Whether it's their guards, whether it's their bigs, whether it's their wings, they have experience, they have defense, they have bigs that can shoot, they have bigs that can defend. They have guards that can shoot. They have guards that can defend. So I wouldn't bet on any of those two teams pulling an upset, and I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't tell my buddies to bet on them as well. That's my East predictions. I don't really see any sleepers coming out the East because, like I said, it's just so much more top heavy in the East as far as the Sixers, as far as the Celtics, and as far as the Bucks. But certainly the Bucks and the Celtics, I just have such high respect for.
What about you, Efren? What you think?
So I said it's my turn. So for the 7th and 8th seed, Hawks and Miami, I've been trying to pay a lot of attention to both those teams, and I just feel like it's an up for grab games. I ain't gonna lie to you. That game right there, both of these, I believe both teams match up well. I believe, you guys have I believe that the Heat have the better center, but I believe that the Hawks have a better guard play than the Heat. The inconsistency that you guys talk about the Hawks, I think that's what's gonna hurt them. Like you guys said, the Heat too. I really haven't heard nothing about the Heat this year. And that's kind of, how do I say, kind of good and not good. Why I say good is because when nobody's thinking that you're gonna come in to the playoffs and you're gonna do something, then that relieves something off your shoulders. And I know how Jimmy Buckets plays. He used to play for the Bulls. He used to do a lot for us. Bam can go out there, average whatever he has to average. If Tyler Herro comes off, I don't know if he's coming off the bench or he's starting, but if he has good games,
he starts.
Man, what can he do? Do you guys still have Duncan or is he hurt?
We got Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
We got him. He just doesn't play because he's very inefficient defensively. Like he's a bad matchup.
But the thing is, against the Hawks, I feel you guys are going to need a little bit more scoring. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, we still got what's his name, Max Strus, who's a really good 3-point shooter, and he's a pretty good defender.
And like I said, I understand the defense wise, but Duncan can actually turn it up in a playoff game for you guys if you guys need him. That's why I'm like, okay. But I feel like the Heat will take that first game. between the Hawks and the Heat. So I'll give the 7th seed to the Heat. The Now going to the 9th and 10th seed. I'm a big Bulls fan. You guys know this. I know what we need. We need our point guard. We've missed LaMelo.
Lonzo.
Lonzo, sorry. We missed Lonzo.
You don't even know your point guard.
I love you, man. We all know you're the biggest Chicago Bulls fan out here. But every week, you have LaMelo Ball as your point guard.
I know, because I want him too.
Okay,
I want both the
I know you want
brothers.
him. We all want LaMelo. We all want LaMelo, man. Sorry, Efren. Go ahead, Efren.
Lonzo. Lonzo's when he played, he made our offense spread out. He did a lot. He can play defense. Right now, we don't have a point guard. Even with Beverly, yeah, he's our defensive point guard, but he plays ruthless sometimes, and it's good and bad. You know, Caruso, good and bad too. You know.
Well, none of them are good shooters. Like even Ayo Dosumo, he's not that great of a shooter,
and that's what kills us.
Yeah,
but also they're not great ball handlers too.
Yeah,
all three of them are not great ball handlers. You got to know that too. If you actually think about it, I'm scared to play against the Raptors, but I think we can beat them. I think we can beat the Raptors, even though people are probably like, "Oh, I don't know." I think we can beat the Raptors just because I feel like the Raptors, like Amos said, I don't think there's a lot of debt in the Raptors right now. I think you said there was a lot of debt, right, Amos?
No, you said they're not very top heavy.
They're not exactly. And I feel like the Bulls can expose them in some way that if Vucevic comes back, which I'm believing he is, we can use him and he can dominate those guys at the bottom too. Now, if they win that, it's gonna be hard for the Bulls to beat another team on the road. Not back-to-back nights, but you know, then they gotta go against the Hawks.
Yeah.
But like you guys said, remember 3-game winning streak that they're on right now. How do you know that they don't lose 2 in a row? The Hawks. We don't know. So I might go with that and take the Bulls to get that 8th seed. I know a Bulls fan. I feel like we can get that 8th seed and make it that way. We have the talent. I know we have the talent. We have the players, but it's just we're inconsistent on our defense. We can have a big lead and give it up like nothing. Our coach got to get a little bit smarter on how to use our players. But that was my prediction. So I have the Bulls and the Heat 7th and 8th seeds.
Do you see Miami going far? The Bulls going far?
I see the Bulls honestly playing very physical against Milwaukee. And what I mean by physical is they don't like each other. We all know that.
Yeah.
They don't like each other.
Especially Grayson Allen and DeRozan.
Yeah. And you know how the Bulls play when it's if they can do something. I believe we have the talent to do something against Milwaukee. It's just we don't have the big men that they have. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. They have 3 big men that they can kill us with. But the thing is, how do we? Well, but the thing is, we got to have our big men play big, and that's the thing. But I don't think we can. We can probably win 1 game or 2 against Milwaukee, but I don't see us doing anything.
Well, and for the Bulls, if they were to go, you would really need your point guard to be able to pull Drew Holiday off of Zach LaVine or DeRozan, wherever he's guarding. And I think, like you said, Vooch needs to play like he did against AD that game before he went out. Yeah. And then you need your point guard to be able to at least hit some threes so that it pulls Drew Holiday off Zach LaVine so he can get a fresh breath of air and get to the rack to get started.
Very true.
Well, and let me jump into and tell you why it's such a bad match for the Bulls. So with the Bulls not being healthy at all to that point, If you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you don't have like KJ said, Drew Holiday doesn't even really have to be guarding the point guard because they're not worried about the point guard from Bulls scoring at all. And we're talking about the NBA. You have to have a pretty legit point guard that can score, and the Bulls, because of the injuries, right? Their point guard situation is just so bottom tier right now. And then on top of that, think about Giannis. Who is Giannis going to be killing himself on defense versus the Bulls? He doesn't really have to have that tough matchup at all, so he's going to be energized.
But you got to remember that too. We do got Andre Drummond still. I know if he can give us a good couple of minutes. Andre Drummond has been playing. If you actually,
he has been playing pretty good.
He's been playing pretty good.
But I think Brook Lopez is big enough to bang with him down low.
I'm just saying. You're bringing up Drummond, but I'm talking about Giannis. Giannis isn't going to be sticking Drummond anyway. So that I'm just saying Giannis.
He'd probably be on DeRozan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. KJ, think about this. The Bucks have Giannis, they have Middleton, and they have Drew Holiday to throw at the Bulls' two best guys. Whereas the Bulls,
Middleton's not that great defensively. I think Grayson Allen would be a better defender to throw on like a Levine because Middleton's more of just a straight scorer. He's not a liability, but he's not someone you put on their best players.
But I hear you. But in playoffs, you always pick it up. People that play social defense, if you're an average defender, you pick it up in playoffs. And so Middleton isn't below average at all. In fact, he's always probably been above average as a defender, and will come playoff time, which they'll be in. I see he's going to pick it up. At the end of the day, he's not their main defender though. So if he's your third or fourth best defender, you're saying my point for me. The Bucks it's basically just a really bad matchup for the Bulls, especially with the Bulls injury situation. I mean, they might be able to steal one game, but I don't see them stealing more than one game personally.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll be able to see later on. I don't think they can win the series, but if they surprise us, you never know. Anything can happen. Anything can happen when you're the number one seed. Look what happened when Derrick Rose went out. What happens if Giannis gets hurt? Do you think that team will survive without Giannis if Giannis gets hurt? We don't know that.
I think I guess it's been 2 years, but I mean, even against Atlanta in that Eastern Conference Finals, they won 2 games without Giannis.
Yeah.
But what do you think about Miami Celtics?
So then the Miami versus Celtics game, Celtics have been picking it up the last couple of weeks. But I just don't know if they have that mindset. I just feel like the Heat always play them good. The Heat, if Jimmy buckets and that whole team can find a way to score with them, they're going to have a good series. But I got to go with Amos on this one, KJ. I just feel like the experience.
I understand.
I got to go with Amos on this one. Even though they haven't been playing good and stuff like that, it's the Celtics, and they have the depth on their bench.
Do you think it could go to 7?
I think it can go to 7. I believe it can go to 7. That's one game I do. But that's one series now that I've been telling. Remember, Boston has not guaranteed me a whole lot of things this whole year, especially when they went on that bad stretch. And the Heat know how to play them. The Heat know how to play Boston, and we've noticed it. The coach, he's pretty much doing the same thing. And that coach for Boston right now, he's inexperienced. Let's be real.
Well, and that was another thing. Like, people have said that the defense hasn't been as good without Ime. And I feel like that would make the difference for us. Because the thing with us last year is we couldn't score. Like, we would go every game, and there'd be at least one quarter where we just got outscored by a lot.
But that's the thing, too, with you guys this year. You guys scored against certain teams, but there was a point in time that in 2 games, you guys scored 92 points.
That's true. I was trying to look it up because they had it on the NBA app, but I think because of the playoffs, they took it off.
That's pretty scary because if Boston gets scoring, there's no way you're stopping them. They can average 130 points like nothing, right or wrong. So
yeah,
so that's the East Coast for us right now. The Eastern Conference people, let us know your comments. Subscribe to us. Let us know your comments. Let us know what you think about the Eastern Conference. We're gonna go to the Western Conference. Now this is a good one. This is where I want to actually start off with Amos on the Western Conference. I know you. We have the 7th, 8th seed, which is the Lakers versus the Timberwolves, and the 9th, 10th seed, which is the Pelicans versus OKC Thunder. Okay? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think, Amos.
Yep. So going to the 7th, 8th seed. All right. So we have the Lakers versus Minnesota Timberwolves. Talk about two teams kind of trending in opposite directions, right, guys? So you have the Lakers, who I know they've been kind of back and forth, but for the most part, they've been trending up a little bit. They've been above 500.
They have since the trade deadline, they have either the first or second best record since then, but they also had the 5th easiest schedule going into after the trade deadline.
I for sure buy that for sure. So end of the day, I think the Lakers are still trending up, whereas the Timberwolves, I mean, let's be real, guys. The whole season, the thing that people talk about with this team is what a bad trade, what a bad fit it was to get Rudy Gobert to pair with Cat, and they just haven't looked comfortable together at all. And I think one of the few good things that came out of the Timberwolves season was, you have someone like Jaden McDaniels who really came into his own. Obviously, Anthony Edwards has kind of found himself too, had another monster year, and I think his jump shot's getting a little better. But Jaden McDaniels.
One thing before you go, Amos, I just wanted to say I was waiting until we were done with the Eastern Conference, but it says that Jaden McDaniels has a fracture in his 3rd and 4th metacarpals in his right hand and has been placed in a cast and is out indefinitely. So he's a non-factor this game now. All because
you stole my juice, by the way, because I was going to say that. No, I'm blind though. I was going to say half of that. So that's really good information, KJ. So to that point, yeah, he's going to be probably out for the whole playoffs. So you talk about their best defender. He was first team all NBA defensively, and I mean, someone like him, he's just so versatile. And even on offense, he can get you some buckets, can shoot good enough. And so when you lose someone like him, who would have been on Braun a majority of the time, that's a big, big loss. And the Timberwolves already don't have playoff experience at all. And, so they're in an uphill battle to beat the Lakers, who have plenty of experience. I know people are either a big LeBron fan or you hate LeBron, but we all know LeBron has experience, and he's going to be rested because we all know he's being sat until this game. And so he'll be rested. We got to hope AD will be rested and healthy. We've talked about this on the show before. When AD is healthy, he's as a big guys out there. When you talk about Jokic and Embiid, Embiid's right in that class, right? So, I got to go with the Lakers. I just think it's, they're just trending too well, and the Timberwolves are just trending the opposite direction to really give them a great matchup. So I'm liking Lakers in that first matchup.
Yeah.
As far as the second matchup between OKC and the Pelicans, I think that's a lot harder of a matchup. Let me just ask you guys, what's up with Zion's health? Will Zion be available for that series or for that game?
So they said that he's already passed. He's already been doing his 4-on-4s or whatever. They're just keeping it checked. I think they were I just think they were saving him for this because they knew they weren't going to make it. Yeah, because I don't think they were just saving for playoffs because I don't think they thought that they were going to get eliminated for the playoffs, but that they were going to get like a 6 or 5 seed. So why not use them in the play-in? That's my opinion.
So going back to what I just said, so if Zion is healthy and he's playing, in fact, let me go back again. Zion realistically probably won't be fully healthy, right? He probably won't be 100%. But if he's healthy that playoff game, I would like the Pelicans over the Thunder. You're talking about two teams, both not a lot of experience, but the Pelicans at least have a little bit more experience. Certainly CJ McCollum has experience, right? And so I just like a core trio of CJ, Ingram, and Zion. I just think healthy-wise, it's a way better core than anything the Thunder have. And while Shea is that guy, he's that dude. And if you guys haven't seen any of Shea's highlights this year, I definitely recommend going out there and watching this kid play. He's really good. He's a superstar. But I just don't think he's going to have enough help, unfortunately. And Giddey's a nice player. They got some good wing defenders as well, and they have some good young talent. You know, we talked about what's his name, Jalen Williams on last week's episode. How good this kid is too. So they have some good young talent, but they're just not ready. I don't think just yet. And I think I'm taking the Pelicans high scoring and their core over the Thunder. So
Well, didn't they say that Chet might play?
You know what? So KJ, a month ago they brought up Chet being healthy enough to where he didn't have any restraints, right? And that's what I had heard.
Mhm.
But I haven't heard as far as them bringing him actually to play. You know, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a fair. But I guess my thinking, KJ, is if you're the Thunder, do you really want to risk him? Yeah, you get playoff experience, right? But at the same time, do you really want to risk him for maybe 1 game, 2 games, at most 5, 6 games? Do you see the Thunder?
True.
Not talking about. You see the Thunder going too far, right? I don't. So if you're the Thunder, you're talking about a guy who was the number 2, number 3 pick, and yeah, you don't want to risk his health. I wouldn't think so. I don't see him playing. So I'm just liking the Pelicans core over the Thunder's core for that game. So again, my matchup, guys, I do like the Lakers over Minnesota, and I like the Pelicans over the Thunder. So then that would then have us. What would the next matchup then be, Efren?
After that.
The Pelicans versus Timberwolves.
And that's for the 7th AC, right?
No,
For the 8th seed.
Okay, yep. So Pelicans versus the Timberwolves, you said. So yeah, same situation, guys. I'm going with the Pelicans. I just think the Pelicans can outscore the Timberwolves. And it's tough because the Timberwolves can score. They have 2 guys who are true dominant scorers in the Timberwolves. You know, so they can score too. But I just like that trio with Zion, CJ, and
Ingram.
Ingram. Yep. I just like that trio on top of their experience level versus Minnesota, and I just think Minnesota's defense can take a massive, massive hit. And then obviously losing D'Lo, you know that while they played fine without D'Lo, I think D'Lo's been better for the Lakers. You know, that's still a less firepower that they have, and so I just don't see them being able to keep up with the Pelicans in that situation. I think it would be a good game. So yeah, give me the Pelicans beating the Timberwolves in that last game to get the 8th seed.
So you have the Lakers as a 7th seed and the Pelicans as an 8th seed. Do you see? Okay, and just like we asked on the other side, do you see either the 7th or the 8th seed beating the 1 or the 2 seed in the Western Conference?
And that's a good question. So anybody that's followed us knows my take has kind of been, you know, the Western Conference is just all over the place this year. It truly is. It's wild. It's all over the place. You could see the top team winning. You could see the bottom team winning. The East just has so much high-level talent, top-heavy talent. You know, if you would have asked me that East question, Efren, I would have probably said no, right? Because I have such confidence in the Boston Celtics, in the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Milwaukee Bucks, especially the Bucks and the Celtics, whereas the West is completely different. You talk about the Lakers. You could argue the Lakers have more firepower, especially from a top-heavy standpoint, than a Denver Nuggets, than a Sacramento Kings, you know, than a Memphis Grizzlies. So I do think that they could win, especially with their experience, man. You talk about LeBron James, who when he's healthy, he's still arguably a top 5 player in the league. You know, AD, I won't repeat what I just said, but he is literally an elite big man. So, you know, you could argue that 1-2 punch is the best in that whole conference alone, and they have the experience. So, you know, I could see the Lakers going decently far. I've been the one, you guys know this, I've been touting the Nuggets, you know, and I think the Nuggets is finally their year to potentially break through, okay? Because they've disappointed everybody. They've choked the last few years, you know. But I'd be lying to say that they have experience winning because they don't. So why couldn't the Lakers upset them? Because they don't have experience in winning, you know? So the Pelicans, especially, right? We saw what the Pelicans did last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago where they got to I think it was last year, right? Game 7 with CJ McCollum, who ended up going off. Was that?
Oh, against the Suns.
Yes, you know? So the Pelicans have shown when they're healthy, you know, that they can take an elite team to the brim. So why couldn't the Pelicans even give the Nuggets scary, So yeah, I just think it's completely different. The West, expect upsets. That's all I'll say. Expect upsets. The East, no upsets.
Okay.
But that's my side of the West. Efren, KJ,
Okay.
what do you think about those matches?
All right. So I've been telling the Lakers for a long time they're probably my second favorite team in the league. Like with Rudy Gobert, he's got a 1-game suspension for punching Kyle Anderson, and then you got your best defender out. Name another person on the team that plays defense. Mike Conley's probably their next best defender, and he's 30 some years old. So yeah, I think that even though he had a bad playoff series last year, D'Lo really made that team run. Like Conley can score, but he's not the same facilitator as D'Lo. And then with no defense, what?
I'm sorry, especially now though, right? With Conley, how old he is now,
Yeah, and especially without D'Lo, and they had Jared Vanderbilt. I know he went to the Jazz, but last year he was on the Timberwolves. Without him, I don't see them beating anybody. And now you have no defense, and it's the same thing I said for the Mavs. They went from the 4 seed down to the 11 and missed the playoffs because they have no defense. And obviously they don't have the same star power as Luka and Kyrie together. You got Kat and Ant Edwards. So yeah, I see the Lakers. They're going to win that game. I think it's going to be an easy win, but the Lakers are somehow going to find a way to make it a close game at the end. And then Pelicans OKC. I really want Shea to win because I think he can do it. But like you said, if Zion plays, it doesn't matter. They're gonna. The thing with Zion is, if that's his first game back, how is the offense gonna look? Are you gonna have CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram standing around while Zion has the ball, kind of like the Lakers did when LeBron came back against the Bulls? There was a lot of just standing around waiting for Zion or waiting for LeBron to do something. Now, LeBron's more ball dominant than Zion. He needs the ball in his hands. Zion, he could just post up, do a move, and then dunk on somebody. So, I think with that being said, since he's not as ball dominant, it'll be an easier transition back into the offense because you got to realize when Zion was playing, Ingram was out with an injury. When Ingram came back, Zion went out with his injury. But I think they've been together long enough, even in practices, that they got the chemistry. They'll be good. And then, like I said, I don't see the Timberwolves beating anybody. So if the Pelicans get on to that next game, I think they win, just like Amos said. I got the Lakers playing the Grizzlies, and then the Pelicans playing Denver. And I mean, I don't know, man. Like Amos said, this whole season for the West is just up for grabs. I could see there being a scenario. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's so unlikely with Zion's health and all of this. I could see a Lakers-Pelicans finals. I mean, that's how crazy deep the whole West is and how much parity there is. I don't trust Denver. I think they could win easily. I think the Pelicans could win easily against Denver. I don't trust Jokic. I mean, Valanciunas isn't that bad of a player compared to you. I mean, Jokic is that good, but Valanciunas is an above average player, center. And then the Lakers, I think they can take care of Memphis. I would have rather they played Denver because that's an easier matchup for them. Because I mean, who's gonna guard LeBron? Michael Porter Jr. Whereas Memphis, they got Jaren Jackson. You got Dylan Brooks. I mean, I know Dylan Brooks, nobody thinks he's that good, which he's not, but he can play a little bit of defense. Yeah, like I said, I could see.
I feel like that's going to be a good matchup.
Which one? Memphis and Lakers?
Lakers, just because you got Jackson that can go against AD.
Yeah.
You got Jaw that can go against D'Lo. You got what's the other guys from the other guard for
Dylan Brooks
for Lakers?
Oh, Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves that will go against
Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
T-Rex arms.
So you got and then you got people off the bench coming off. So
Yeah.
both
And
sides,
it really
would be a
comes.
good matchup.
Well, yeah,
I
and
would've-
all of the Lakers' success depends on like Malik Beasley, Troy Brown, all of their bench shooters. Are they going to hit or are they going to miss? And then how well can Vanderbilt guard these players? Because I think Vanderbilt would be on Jaren Jackson. I think Jaren Jackson would guard Anthony Davis, but I don't think Anthony Davis would be on Jaren Jackson just to save Anthony Davis from getting hurt from playing with Jaren Jackson because he's so physical.
Yeah.
If I could just add something too, real quick, man, and that's a good kind of point you too. Like the Lakers can certainly beat the Grizzlies; they can beat anybody in the conference. But one thing I'll add to that I didn't say, that Memphis Grizzlies is probably the worst matchup for the Lakers, and that was, I mean, like you said, Efren, I totally agree. I would
Besides
like
the Suns.
well, I can jump to that in a second. But as far as like the Lakers, I think Denver, like you said, they wouldn't really had anybody to stop LeBron. Denver is just a lot worse of a defensive team. Whereas Memphis, man, they have Jaren Jackson, arguably the best power forward center defender versus AD, right? You have guys who, like Brooks, you have a lot of wing defenders you can throw on LeBron and irritate the hell out of him, right? You're not going to stop LeBron fully. And like Bane, he's a pain in that. Like Ron hates to do, right? So, and then on top of that, Jaw, we like D'Lo. We do like D'Lo, but he's not no Jaw, right? I think we all agree with that. And so, I think it's a really brutal matchup for the Lakers, honestly, man. When you look at Memphis's defense, they have a superstar. They have a team that can counter with a superstar. They have a team that can counter with defense. They have enough guys. They have enough wing scorers. They have enough scoring. I just think it's a bad matchup. Sorry, KJ, keep.
Has the Lakers played the Grizzlies since the since the trade?
Nope.
They haven't. I think they might have played once, but Ja wasn't playing.
But
They did once, yeah.
Memphis won.
They did. No, Memphis won. They did.
Okay.
They did play. Ja wasn't playing, and it was the game. KJ, remember where Bane was talking hella shit to Braun, and Braun was like, "Dude, just keep it the basketball. Like, shut up, bro."
No,
like,
that was like last season. That video that came out.
No,
I think
that was this season.
no, when he was like, I don't play that
Shannon
shit.
Sharpe
I'm not the right one.
When Shannon Sharpe
I
was
thought it
there.
was
Oh no, the video, no, the one that with he's talking about, that Amos is talking about was last year when he was
talking
talking.
about Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, no, you're talking about Dylan Brooks and Shannon Sharpe argument. That was the one that happened this year.
No, but they were arguing with LeBron too. That's how it all started.
No, because Dylan Brooks came down court and said, "Your man can't guard me," because Dylan Brooks hit something on LeBron, and Shannon Sharpe said, "Keep it to basketball." Last year was the one where they were at the free throw line, and LeBron was like, "Hey, I'm not the one. I don't play that shit. Just play ball." That video happened last year. I think they just reposted it on the date that it happened this year, like a 1 year anniversary of the video or something.
For sure. I mean, it did happen last year, but still, they don't mess with each other, right? So I just think, man, the Memphis is. I mean,
well, that was what I was going to say. The disrespect that Memphis has for these older teams, these greats, it's going to be a lot of controversy. And like you said, they don't like each other.
It's crazy.
What do you think, Efren? What do you think?
So you guys are gonna see my take. Okay, guys?
He's going to say Minnesota's going to be the 7th seed.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. So look, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna start off with the 9th and 10th seed in the West first.
of course.
Look at him. He's already dying because of the LeBron hate.
So the 9th and 10th seed, we got OKC versus the Pelicans. Both great teams, both young talent, both can do a lot. I just don't see the consistency of OKC compared to a Pelicans team that's been there. Like, we've been there. We can do this. Like you said, Zion comes back. That's another big factor for them to make a play, make a run, and do everything they have to do. So I believe that the Pelicans will advance in that game and be in the 8-9 match later on. Now the 8-9 match, the 7-8 match, which is the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. So yes, Rudy Gobert is suspended. I understand. Mike McDaniels is hurt. Hey, sir, Don't fall asleep. Okay? Don't fall asleep.
It's Jaden
But I feel
McDaniels,
like-
not Mike
But I
McDaniels.
feel like
That's the Dolphins coach. You don't even know
But
the player.
well, like I'm telling you, right now, I feel like the Timberwolves, this is gonna be a team decision. They will lose, they will beat the Lakers tonight. Oh, Tuesday, sorry. The Lakers will lose to the Timberwolves. Okay? Just because LA has 2 home games. Right or wrong?
Yeah.
So why not beat the team that you think you can beat in the first round and lose the first game and play again at home against the Pelicans, and then take that 8 seed and go in and then beat the number 1 seed.
I wouldn't risk it against Zion, though.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you want to play against the Pelicans?
But we don't know. But this is the thing. We don't know how good Zion's going to come back as.
It don't
And
matter.
like you
He's
guys
still
said-
a threat. It's
But
like when
hold
you.
on.
It's like if you
But
throw
hold on.
Curry out there.
But AD's playing great right now, like you guys say, right or
But
wrong.
why would you want? But why would you want them to have to play one more extra game? We always talk about their health. Like they need to sit and rest, man. I don't want them to have to play back to backs. I want them to play one win.
But you got to remember, they're not playing back to backs.
Well, not a back to back, but why would play an extra game?
That's what I'm
You're
saying.
not
We don't
playing
playoff.
back-to-back. But if you think
That's
about
what
it,
I'm saying.
but then you're gonna go.
But it's not.
But this is me going with. I'd rather go with the team. I'm looking into the playoffs. You know, are you gonna go? You actually, like you said, it's a bad matchup for the Lakers to play against Memphis.
Yeah, but what would
Right
you
or
rather
wrong?
have? What would you rather have?
I'd rather play.
Do you think that?
the Nuggets?
No, but do you think that the Lakers could beat the Memphis?
No,
You don't think they could? Okay. Because I was gonna say, if you think they can beat Memphis, the
I
next
don't think
round.
so.
No. What
Don't
I'm saying
think
is,
they-
what I'm
I
saying
don't
is,
think they can beat Memphis.
no. But
I
what
don't
I'm
think
saying
they-
is, if they could beat Memphis, I would rather them play the Kings of the Warriors than
Yeah.
beat Denver and then play Phoenix.
No. But see, that's the thing. They're not. They know, and I think LeBron knows. LeBron is smart. You know, he will take over one of the playing games. You know, he might not take over the Minnesota one because you remember, another thing you're not talking about is even if Minnesota loses this game, they go back home and Rudy Gobert comes back for the next game. He just suspended 1 game. That team is still good enough, and that team has proven that they can beat the Lakers, Minnesota, this year. Multiple times.
But the one game is against the Lakers without Rudy Gobert, then they would be locked against Memphis. They wouldn't be playing.
I understand. But do you think the Lakers can beat Memphis?
Yes.
Honestly. No.
Especially last year with what was it, the first time the Timberwolves made the playoffs in a while, and since Jimmy Butler was there, and they were up every game on Memphis, and they just were so bad with keeping leads, and they had Cat's cringy ass saying, "Oh, wait till they come to our house." I think that on top of losing Brandon Clark, they don't know when Steven Adams is coming back. The whole jaw stuff, their chemistry is not as good as it was before. They could the Lakers definitely could beat Memphis.
Like I said, we're going by our opinions. My opinion.
I'm sorry. Let me just jump in 2 seconds. Like you said, I agree with you, bro. Like you're absolutely right. Memphis is going to be a harder matchup than Lakers, and I actually do tend to agree with you, right? Like I do think Lakers would probably lose that series. So I mean, you're not wrong, but my point, and the floor is yours after I say this. My point is just that you're asking for a lot for the Lakers to then want to sit, basically purposely lose, and then I said back to back, but we all know playoffs you don't play back to back. So what I meant is you're playing back to back playoff games, and so you're now having to play a game 7 base, an extra game 7 because you wanted to purposely lose. That just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? So, but I do agree with you. Like, yeah, Memphis is a harder matchup, but you still don't want to do all that extra stuff just to avoid them. You know?
I understand. And like I said, I understand what you guys.
What? Sorry.
Wait, what did you say? It cut out. What was that last part? Amos?
Sorry, Efren. If I cut you off again. No, I was just saying like, well, so I don't know what you might have missed, but I was just basically saying like, you're doing all this extra steps basically to avoid one series. And you even kind of said yourself, KJ, too. If you avoid that one series to play, let's say the Nuggets, well, okay, fine, but then maybe you then get without me looking at the brackets, you then maybe get the Suns faster than you would have gotten later on. So it kind of goes back, And so at the end of the day, you're not going to want to risk a loss for a game 7 where you could then lose and then not even have a series.
Well, that's what I was saying was. I would avoid the Suns before I avoid Memphis. Like, I mean, none of us had Memphis going far, even when we were doing our playoff stuff.
You guys got to remember too. You guys got to remember this too. I know I'm a big Suns promoter this year. I had the Suns going all the way. They were on a 7-game winning streak, and Kevin Durant came back. But like you guys said, we don't know the health of Anthony Davis through the playoffs. We don't know. Right now he's healthy. So right now he can make a run. Would you rather him, and this is why I'm saying it, why not lose this first game? And I understand what you're saying. You got to play again on Friday, win that game, and then you don't play again until Sunday or Monday. Game 1.
If you win.
Yeah, but you play 2 home games. You're not traveling. You're not traveling anywhere. You're staying at home.
That's true, but if you're saying that the reason why you would rather play Denver is Anthony Davis's health, and I would rather the Lakers play Memphis because they don't have a big like Jokic that if Anthony Davis needs to sit out a couple games, LeBron doesn't have to go guard a 5, and now the 3 is left wide open to score because what their 3 is Dylan Brooks, who's going to score. Whereas if you play Denver, Anthony Davis goes out. Now you're going to have to put Vando.
You still have that kid Walker who's been playing good.
Who?
Walker from the Lakers.
Walker?
The one that had
Lonnie Walker?
Yeah.
But he's like 6'4". He's not going to be able to guard a Michael Porter or an Aaron Gordon.
That is true too.
Because if you got Aaron Gordon out there, LeBron's going to have to guard Aaron Gordon because he's so much bigger and physical than Jokic. And you put Vanderbilt on Jokic. Now you got Michael Porter left with who? Troy Brown, Malik Beasley, Austin Reeves. I mean, subpar defenders. Whereas you go against Memphis, there's no Steven Adams and there's no Brandon Clark. So they have no big man.
How do we know that Steven Adams is not coming back right now?
From what I heard, they said that he was missing the playoffs.
Yes, they've already announced it. It. But going back to what KJ said, I hear what you're saying, KJ. But regardless, either way, though, if Anthony Davis is out, they're not beating Memphis just like they wouldn't beat Denver.
Yeah,
but they would have a better chance.
If I just don't know that.
Sorry to say,
and
but
KJ,
hold on.
Sorry.
Finish your thought, Amos.
No. It's all you, Efren. We keep talking at the same time. You go, Efren, and then I'll go after.
But like you're saying, I'm talking about Anthony Davis being healthy right now. This is the best time to use him wherever you can. And I feel like you go in and you beat Denver. You coming in to play Denver instead of a Memphis team. You understand what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying. It's a bad idea, but I'd rather take that and play 2 homes that I know I'm not traveling. They're coming here. I feel that that's going to happen. That Minnesota's going to win this game. Everybody's going to rule Minnesota out because they have no Rudy Gobert. They have, we don't even know if what's his name's playing. There's nothing. They didn't say if he was going to sit out because he was talking shit yesterday.
Oh, Kyle Anderson.
Yeah. So we don't. But at the same time, the Lakers can afford to lose this game. So how do we know they're not? How do we know how they're going to come out and play? They might not even come out and play hard.
You got to look at it from another story perspective. Is D'Lo's gonna want to get his revenge, kind of how they said Russell Westbrook's gonna want to get his revenge against the Lakers. D'Lo's gonna want to get his revenge because you got to remember when D'Lo got to Minnesota, Cat was out there with his jersey. Everybody was saying D'Lo found a home to stay for the next 10 years, all that, and then he has one bad playoff series, and then they ship him off to LA. And they said, oh, Mike Conley's better for us because he's got playoff experience. He's this, that, and the other. When D'Lo, we all know D'Lo's a better player than Mike Conley.
KJ.
What?
Last question.
What's up?
Who's your favorite NBA player at the moment?
My favorite NBA player,
Yeah.
D'Lo.
And then this guy goes, "Oh, they shipped him because of a one playoff series." We're just gonna act like he wasn't. He was just average, though. I mean, I'm
Well,
not
no,
gonna say he was.
he was averaging like I want to say 15 and
Well,
8,
he's
which
always
is
been trash in any playoff series he's played in.
whoa. The Brooklyn year, the year he was in Brooklyn.
Evan, that's kind of my point, though. I'm just saying, I'm giving KJ shit, obviously, but like to me,
He has been
Brooklyn D'Lo for sure was the truth. But like you said, Efren, D'Lo to me has always been kind of an above average point guard, right? So to me, they didn't ship him because of just that playoff series. To me, he's just not. I don't think he's that point guard that they thought they envisioned, right? They thought they could take him deep into a series.
Well, he was supposed to be the second best, but then they got Anthony Edwards, and it's like now he's the third one, but they expected him to put up second option numbers. But in the playoffs, no, he shot really bad, and that's why they said, okay, because remember they were talking about the two things they said with Minnesota when they lost to Memphis was the reason why they were blowing leads and stuff was because D'Lo was shooting terribly, and because the coach was making terrible substitutions at terrible moments. But the thing with D'Lo is he's Efren. You say he's been bad in playoffs. He played in Brooklyn in the playoffs. Then they wanted to get Kyrie and Durant. So then he went to Golden State where they had the worst record, like at 19 wins. And then he got shipped to Minnesota where they didn't make the playoffs the year before and then last year. So he's only played in 2 playoff series. And one, he played mid. The other one, he played really great. He was the best player on that Brooklyn Nets team.
The playoffs with the Lakers too?
No, because they traded him before LeBron got there, I thought.
All I'm saying is I just think he shows a lot. That's all I'm saying. I think he just doesn't perform a lot.
I think he played in one playoff series.
No, they didn't. No, he didn't, because they traded him. They traded D'Lo before they got Lonzo. And then Lonzo was on that team with LeBron, and then they traded all of them to New Orleans for Anthony Davis.
I understand what you're saying, so but just back to what I was saying, guys. Just finish it off. This is my opinion. Just like we want everybody's opinion. Subscribe, please, to Sports Bros. We're here to hear you guys out. My opinion is I feel like the Lakers will do this. They'll probably lose this week. They will be the 8th seed. I know you guys probably don't agree with this, guys, but I feel like they'll lose, become the 8th seed, and have a better chance at that number 1 spot against the number 1 team, and see how that matches up.
I think they go into I think the league investigates the Lakers if they lose to the Timberwolves without Rudy.
Because honestly, I feel like those matchups are good enough to watch. Also, you got a good Denver team against a Lakers team that can be hot or can be, we don't know what they're going to come in to the playoffs. Just like Denver, we don't know what they're going to come into the playoffs. But there's upsets that could be in there. Just like Amos said, there's a lot of upsets. Okay?
Especially in the East with Miami.
But that's my stuff. Reach out on the comments. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you guys think if there's going to be, any more upsets later on. We will be talking about the rest of the playoffs next week after we know everybody that's in. We just wanted to talk about the play-in today. Going from basketball to football. I know we just heard of a signing. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Baltimore? Odell? Man, big signing, but big risk. $15 million guaranteed. That's what they're saying. $15 million guaranteed. What do you guys think about that?
I'm gonna start this off first because that really pissed me off. It's
Why?
Okay, so you're gonna give someone who most teams were only gonna give a minimum to a $5 million contract to, and you give him $15 million, but you can't give your quarterback the money. And I feel like this is some kind of bullshit facade that they pulled with what were we talking about? They tried to do something to Lamar before, but it's some kind of, we got your receiver, stay here, Lamar, when you had his best receiver and traded him where? Where did he go? Arizona? Yeah. I feel like they're
Hollywood?
Huh?
Oh, so no, I was saying his name. Hollywood Brown, sorry.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown. I just feel like they're like playing with, how to explain this? They're playing with Lamar. They're saying yeah, we want to sign you, but we're not going to give you this. And we traded your best receiver, but now we're going to get you this receiver who's got a torn ACL, hasn't played in a year, is old. He's like, what, 30s now? He's in his 30s. I mean, I feel like this is just them trying to act like they're trying to help Lamar out by getting him a receiver when you could just pay the man. Just pay the man and he'd be more happy than just getting him this receiver who's not going to do much.
I don't think Lamar falls for the trap.
Yeah, exactly. He's smarter than that.
He did tweet. You guys got to remember he did tweet, but at the same time, I don't think this is enough. I don't think
not even
this
close.
This doesn't get you over a Cincinnati Bengals team. This probably gets you over a Pittsburgh team that's rebuilding in your division. This probably gets you over a Cleveland Browns team that can't find a way. Yeah, they got talent, but but you're right. I don't know how you give him $15 million. You don't give your quarterback what he wants. And it's not $15 million just like that. No, it's $15 million guaranteed.
Yeah, it's $18 million. It's $18 million with the bonuses.
And that's completely dumb. What about you? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Baltimore Ravens have continued to just have a really bad offseason, and they literally are supplanting that with a 30-year-old receiver who's been out the league for about a year and a half, 15 to 18 million contract. So the reason why I didn't like it is, you guys have kind of touched on this, and we've touched on it a little bit before. You have someone like Lamar Jackson who, you can have high faith in him or not as much faith in him, but at the end of the day, he's always proven that he's been at least a legit top 10 QB at minimum, right? I mean, he obviously has an MVP name, but at minimum, he's top 10 QB. So if you're an organization like the Ravens, yeah, you at the end of the day, you got to figure out right away what you're going to do with them. Whether are you going to move on with them, or are you going to keep them on your team? And so the fact that it's all leaked in the media, we all know the issues they've had. Now you talk about they have they're colluding with all these other teams for them to not give him a great deal. And come on, man, look around the league. How many teams need QBs? We know this. And I mean, look at the Raiders, for example. The Raiders signed Jimmy G to basically a top 10 to 12 QB contract. Okay. Does anyone really see Jimmy G competing with Mahomes, with the guy Herbert, right?
Yes.
You're going to, and so
he's going to win us the division.
So to me, if you're the Raiders, you should have either went super young and went, rebuild, right, which you probably should be doing, or you could have theoretically traded that 7th pick for a Lamar Jackson. And so if you're the Ravens, you have a top 10 pick and you have all this money now you can use that you don't want to give to Lamar Jackson, and you have the pick now. And so I just think their whole offense has been really bad. And then on top of that, you give Odell Beckham, who let's go back to him, right? Last season didn't play because he was hurt, tore ACL. Season before, he had just been traded to the Rams, and he was a good piece. He definitely helped the Rams win.
He would have won MVP had he not get injured, or had he not got injured, because he was instrumental in that playoff run. During the regular season, they're kind of forcing it to him, but during the playoffs, he was instrumental.
He was a really good piece, but you don't pay guys like that. For example, Malcolm Smith, right? Seahawks. I'm a Seahawks fan. They won the Super Bowl. Malcolm Smith was the MVP, So, and he was just an average player. So at the end, not saying you're saying this, KJ, but MVP. Anyone can win an MVP award. Well, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean you're a superstar. And so, my whole point is, you got a guy who's 30, been out for a year and a half. You're paying him 15 to 18 mil. The Ravens receivers have been bad for a decade now, right? I mean, they had to go get Steve Smith from the Panthers, 8-9 years ago, to make him a guy who was 30 in the mid-30s, their number one receiver. He ended up going off for 1 year, but since then they still haven't recovered. They had Hollywood Brown for a good few years. He was all right, but they drafted a number one receiver last year, Bateman, didn't do anything special, and so now you're having to then go and sign a receiver. I mean, you don't. Ravens never spend money in free agency very rarely. They then could have used that money on a younger receiver, like a Jacoby, I'm spacing on his last name. Jacoby Myers, who was the youngest receiver and probably the top receiver going into the market. Instead, they'd rather spend it on Odell, who's 30, who's going to be 30 this season. I don't think he's that vertical threat like he used to be at all. And then let's be honest, Lamar Jackson's not that guy that's just going to be sitting out in the pocket throwing it deep anyways. So I just think it's a bad matchup, man.
It doesn't make sense though. Like, it's a 1-year contract. And then what are you going to do? If you sign Lamar, are you going to be able to afford him? Are you going to be able to afford Odell?
I heard, and let me know if this is true, guys. Somebody's saying that Lamar can play on this franchise tag, play, and then act like he gets hurt, and they still got to pay him the whole year for that franchise tag. Is that correct?
I think I don't know about that, but I know that they have until week 11 to pay him. Something about week 11. Oh, I think it's up until week 11, he can look to sign with a different team.
On that franchise tag.
On that franchise tag, yes.
But like I said, he can. I'm trying to see if you guys can look this up.
I think after week 11, he can sit the last 6 games and still get his franchise tag.
Oh, man.
At the end of the day, though, the situation is unheard of. The fact that they gave him a transition tag, which is about as easy for any other team to come in. I mean, and we had our argument a few weeks back because I had Efren, you remember this. We had to tell you the Seahawks didn't want to trade for him because at the end of the day, they ended up getting Geno for about top 13, top 15 money. That's a really good deal. But like I said, a team like the Raiders, man, I mean, imagine this, bro. You literally could have got Lamar Jackson, signed him that franchise tag, and now you're paying Lamar Jackson probably less on that tag, or at least closer to what Jimmy's making, you know? And so it's just an unheard of situation where all these teams, QB teams, you have a guy who's literally on a franchise tag that's saying, hey, he's available, and you're not going for this guy. You know,
he's getting that Kaepernick treatment.
Basically. So at the end of the day, man, I mean, your best option is you're signing a receiver for 15 to 18 mil, and you don't even know what QB will be thrown to that said receiver. You know, it's mind-boggling to me. It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, I wouldn't be very happy if I was a Ravens fan. And it's sad too, because you guys know this. Ravens traditionally have a really good franchise. They are winners, you know, they win, and they're very smart with their money. And I don't get them at all personally, but I just think Odell's kind of living on his reputation, man, like from his Giant days. And then, like you said, KJ, he did have in fairness to him, he did go off during those playoffs. So, I mean, the last we saw him, he was going off. But, man, you missed a year and a half, and you're going to make it $18 million, and you're not a pass rusher. You're not a left tackle. You're not
I feel like he will have a good year this year, and then he'll sign somewhere else. Even if it's for less money, he'll get – well, because it's only a 1 year.
I don't think he has a good year because he don't have nobody that's going to be able to throw to him.
But, I mean, look at all these other players that have no –
Hold on. Huntley can't – bro, we all seen Huntley last year, the backup quarterback.
In one game.
He couldn't tight ends, bro.
He was doing pretty good during the regular season.
No. But he was throwing to his tight ends. He can barely throw to them.
I don't know.
He needs Lamar to come back.
That's the
only way Odell Beckham gets a bigger deal if Lamar comes back.
Well, that's the thing.
You better hope.
I don't think he gets a bigger deal.
If you're a Ravens fan, and I'm talking to all the Ravens fans, if you're a Ravens fan, you better hope that Odell talks to Lamar and tells him, hey, just help me out these first 11 games and give me my stats and however we are in the season, whatever. But after that, you can sit all you want.
I don't think he's going to do that, though, because they're not. I don't think they're tight like that. But the thing is, I feel like I don't think Odell's going to get a big contract. I think what happens is he's getting this $18 million this year. He's going to play well enough. They're going to see, hey, he doesn't even need to like. They're going to understand. Like most owners are going to understand. Yeah, he's got Huntley thrown to him, but he still can move. He can still. His releases are still good. He could do all this where he can go to a Dallas Cowboys and sign a 3-year, $10 million a year. He doesn't need to make $15 million.
Hold on.
No, but I'm not saying. I'm saying any other team that needs a receiver.
There's a reason he went to go visit the Cowboys last year, and the Cowboys did not sign him.
No, I know, but I'm not saying just the Cowboys. I'm saying he could go to the Titans and get a 3-year, $10 million where he's got a home. No, but I'm saying he could go to another team. He's not going to go.
Teams that don't have quarterbacks, KJ.
But he's not going to go back to the Ravens with no quarterback.
He's not going to
But hold on.
He could go to Seattle and on a 3-year, $10 million deal.
Let me just jump in there for 2 seconds. Let me just jump in for 2 seconds, though. So, again, we're assuming, though, that Odell is going to come back the same player. We just don't know that, And to that point, too, it's like we're also assuming Odell is going to go off with no QB. Who's his QB right now? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? So he's not in a situation where he's set up to get a decent contract because, again, we don't know his QB. And you got to remember, he'll be 31 next year. He's basically been on that 1-year status now. So, like, to give a 31, he would be a 31 next year. To give a 31-year-old receiver a 3-year contract, that just doesn't really happen, especially to someone like Odell. And if I'm being honest with you guys, I could see Odell it being his last year because he's not just a football player, right? He's all about social media. He's like a fashion guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, he doesn't need the NFL, And so he's back for 15 to 18 million. Why wouldn't you say no to that, right? Or why wouldn't you say yes to that, But
XFL.
To me, I could.
No, shut up. He's not Josh Gordon.
XFL,
no, he's not Josh Gordon. I'm looking at it right now. The Chiefs had Juju on a 10.8, so an $11 million contract from 1 year last year. Odell could get on a Chiefs thing for.
But who did he have throw it to him?
No, but I'm saying.
Patrick Mahomes throw it to him.
Huh? But what I'm saying, no. What I'm saying is Juju got that 11 million off of what? Trubisky throwing to him on the Steelers. Odell can get it from Huntley throwing to him on the Ravens, and then he could get there. And I'm not even saying he makes the 11 million. He makes 8-9 million for 3 years.
I hear you, but KJ, real quick, think about the age aspect of it. That's all. You're comparing Juju last year. I think he was 26 when he signed that deal, right? 25, 26. About Odell next year, who will be 31. So you got to remember, there's a big age difference. Like, obviously, Odell's better than Juju.
And then how many receivers are going to come out of the draft next year as well? You got to add that on to the
Efren, that's a good question. That's a good point. So this year's class, they have 3 to 4 guys who are projected to be number 1 receivers, but none of those guys are superstars. Okay, Quentin Johnson from TCU is probably the 3rd best guy. The best guy is Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. No, and he's a slot guy, though. I'm saying so. Yeah, this class isn't that good, but to your point, the next year's class is supposed to be way better. So it's like, why would we then sign Odell, who's 31 next year, to 10 million, 8 million, whatever, when the next year's class is supposed to be way better than this year's class? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you have
this year.
You have Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out next year, I think.
No, effort. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. It's like, why would you want to sign Odell next year to an 8-10 million deal when you have this phenomenal receiver class?
But is Kansas City getting one of those top receivers?
Yeah, in the draft you are. I believe.
I'm not talking about. Well, KJ, I'm just strictly talking about Odell Beckham, right? Because you said, well, he can probably get 8 to 10 million next year. Well, I just don't think a 31-year-old guy,
even if it's 7 million, he could get that for 3 years. He just wants to find a home.
Not for 3 years. 1 year, sure, maybe 1 year. You might be right, but I doubt for 3 years, man. I mean, I doubt it. He's been on a 1 year thing packed for the last couple years now, but especially
he had whatever he had in New York, and then he had like a 3 or 4 year with the Browns that got traded that year. This is the only 1 year deal he's had.
I'm saying he's been. And since then, he's been on a 1 year pact. I'm saying he after the Browns, once he got traded to the Rams, after he's been let go, like last year was all a 1 year deal, if you remember, but he was still recovering. But teams
he wasn't on a team.
Exactly, because he was.
So he wasn't on a 1 year deal.
They wanted to give him 1 year deals.
Who did?
He didn't want a 1 year deal.
Well, who?
Listen, KJ, before you talk, please. I'm just saying. Since last year, he's been on a 1 year pact. He's wanted a 1 year deal. Teams have gone for a 1 year deal, but he was hurt, right? So he couldn't sign the deal. But I'm saying teams and him, he wanted a 1 year deal last year, but they didn't know him and the teams. They didn't know if he'd be healthy. Okay, he clearly wasn't healthy, so he didn't get that 1 year deal.
Efren just said that the Rams offered him a 1 year deal. He didn't want a 1 year deal. He wants a long-term deal. He didn't want a 1 year deal.
Long-term deal. How would he get a long-term deal? He just had an ACL tear. You know what I'm saying? So
wasn't that what he wanted with Dallas, Efren? He wanted a long-term deal?
No, he wanted a long-term deal, but Dallas denied him.
Exactly.
Because
He
they-
doesn't want a 1-year deal.
But he was hurt.
He might have wanted. At the end of the day, we're just speculating. We don't know. Like, show me the article that said he wanted a long-term deal from Dallas. But my point is, at the end of the day, right now, since last year, he's been on that 1-year pact. Again, last year, no one was talking about long-term deals because, again, he just tore his ACL, guys. Like, well, how would they talk about? How would the Cowboys or any other team talk about a long-term deal
You don't even
when
know what he's going
half
to
the
do. You don't even know what he's
half
going
the
to do.
and half the teams knew he wasn't even going to play last year, so he couldn't have wanted a long-term deal. That's my point. So I'm just saying, since last year, it was a 1-year pact because of his injury history. So, end of the day, my point is, when he's 31, he's not getting a 3-year deal like you think, KJ. And you might be right. You might be right, and that's fair. I'm not saying you're crazy for saying that. Like, you're not. I just don't think, as a 31-year-old, he's going to get these 3-year deals like you think he's going to do.
But want to know something, guys? One thing, and we're going to leave it off right here, is that Derrick Henry will be a free agent this year. He'll be cut, and it will be a Dallas Cowboy. Thank you.
Shut up.
You talking about this offseason?
No, he might get cut before that. They said he might get cut by the
you said
draft. They said he might get cut by the draft.
I've seen that. I don't think so. I'm telling you though. You know who I could see the Cowboys get, man, is your boy, Bijan Robinson, man. I'm dead ass serious, man. Like that gets
But
stuck.
they're leaving the door open for Zeke to come back.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
all right. Wait.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at something else. I wasn't listening.
Right.
Listen.
They're leaving the door open for Zeke to come back.
If
So Zeke can come back and they'll sign him.
so, you're saying that Odell would be 31 by the end of this season, or by the start of next season. If
he's 30. He's 30. He's going to be 30 this season, I believe, right? Like,
okay. Oh,
he's 30.
I'm
pretty sure this. Okay, well, I'm just saying. I'm pretty. Like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure this season he's playing as a 30-year-old. So he'd be playing as a 31-year-old next season.
Either way, what I'm saying is, if he has a halfway decent year, I know he's not going to have a great year, like you said, because Huntley's going to be throwing to him. Maybe Lamar plays. We don't know. We're speculating on that. But if he has a decent enough year, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of these top receivers. They're 30 right now. So, and you're saying that if he has a good season, could he get a 3-year deal? Or you're saying not at all because he's over 30. He's going to be 31.
I'm saying, KJ, he hasn't played in a year and 4 months. Okay,
But
so
that's what I'm saying is, if he plays a good year, do you think he could get a 3-year deal?
No, I'm saying, yeah, you think he will, and I'm saying you're not crazy for thinking that, right? I'm just saying, do I think he will? No, I don't think he will. That doesn't mean it's impossible, no. But I'm just saying, you understand, he's 30. He hasn't played in a year and a half. He's now 30, basically. He's not going to have a good QB situation, and so my thinking is, it's going to take. I don't think he's going to be that. I don't think he's going to stand. But put it this way, I don't think he's going to be an $8 million to $7 million type of player like you think he might be. Now, 1 year, sure, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to get that 7 to 8 million for 3 years in a row, like you think. I mean,
do you think he could be as good as Keenan Allen?
Hold on. Who does Odell remind you guys right now of that was an older receiver back in the day trying to do the same thing?
I don't know. I didn't watch the NFL back that far.
There's been so many different receivers, and to your question, KJ, they're just such completely different type of players, man. You're talking about one guy who's strictly a possession guy who does get hurt during the season, but he's just been so consistent. And Odell is the guy who will sit out, and Odell is the guy who, there's a lot of trauma.
Well, there's this play right here. Dez Bryant. The Ravens did the same thing. Remember, nobody wanted to give him a shot. Nobody. And look at when he did get a shot with Lamar. Remember, he had Lamar.
What year Lamar?
Yeah.
But no, what year Lamar? Was it pre-MVP when people were saying he couldn't throw?
No. Well, I don't know. I forgot when, but it wasn't even.
It wasn't that long.
They didn't even use him. They didn't even know how to use him as a receiver.
Yeah, but they didn't know how to use Lamar as a quarterback. People were saying he should go to running back still. No, if it's pre-MVP.
But the thing is, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what they're going to do with Huntley. If he's your starting quarterback in Baltimore and he doesn't know how to throw to his receivers, what makes you think this is not going to be the same Dez Bryant part? Look it up. He got a contract with the Ravens. Everybody thought, he's going to do good. Later on, I wouldn't doubt week 2 or week 3 Odell being cut, just like they did to Dez.
Well,
okay,
no.
so Dez missed 2 years. He was on Dallas in 2017 and then didn't play 18 or 19. So he missed 2 years. And then he
It's
only
almost the
played.
same thing with Odell.
No, it's only 1 year. He played in the Super Bowl and got injured, and then had the offseason and missed 1 season. Dez missed 2 full seasons plus the off seasons. And he only played 6 games with Baltimore. And I doubt he got a $15, $18 million contract. He does definitely didn't get anywhere near that.
Look it up. Okay, can't you look it up? I mean, it shouldn't be that too hard.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
can
if
look it up.
it was 2020 season though, Lamar Jackson, that would have been his MVP year, right? Or
No, 2019 was his MVP year, so the year afterwards. Yeah, he signed a 1 year, $1 million contract with the Ravens. He didn't sign no $15 million. So Dez Bryant was way worse than Odell was at this point, and he had missed 2 years compared to 1. And I mean, you guys got to realize how far. I mean, we're not talking like Derrick Rose times. We're not talking Derrick Rose times. ACL tears are so common that the medical field has gotten so much better with them. ACL tear is not that crazy anymore.
I didn't say nothing about Dez, KJ, by the way. So, but I'm just saying, like,
I did.
yeah. But I'm saying he said you guys got to remember. That's all I'm saying. But like for me, it's just again, you talking about Odell. He hasn't played for literally a year and a few months. Like, he hasn't worked out at all. So I want to see him first, man. I want to see him. And again, I'm banking on a 30-year-old next year being 31. I don't. Again, we'll see. And it really is an interesting debate because we don't know, right? So we don't know the QB situation. We kind of think it's gonna be Hundley, right? But for all we know, maybe Lamar does play, right? Plays really well, and if he does, and Odell was like healthy, he's doing his thing, and then that's best case. And then maybe the following year Odell could certainly get maybe a multi-year contract, And again, I wouldn't necessarily doubt that he could maybe get a $7 to $8 million deal next year, but that would probably be his best case. For me right now, I'm banking on, again, Hundley being the QB. I think Odell, I don't think he's going to show that he's a number one receiver anymore. Personally, I just don't, and it's fair for me to think that, and it's fair for you not to think that, right? But again, 31, I just don't see him getting another long-term deal at the age of 31,
The only reason why I bring up the whole Juju thing is because Odell would never yeah, I don't remember a single point this season where anybody was saying Odell's on his way out the league. Whereas after the whole Super Bowl thing and Juju talking shit, you got other people saying, bro, you were on your way out the league with the Steelers before Kansas City signed you. So at that point, it's not even about the age thing.
I don't think he was. Juju was.
No, but I'm just saying.
Juju wasn't.
No, but I'm not saying from a stat perspective, but I'm saying what people were saying, like even if it's not true, if there's a narrative about it, Odell never had that narrative about him being out the league because of his ACL tear.
Like you said, that's not true. That's just Twitter talk, And like,
no, an NFL player tweeted it.
Who did?
What's his name?
But there's talking trash.
Okay, but what I'm saying is nobody's ever said that.
Trash, it's not his fault. You couldn't stop him. No, in Pittsburgh, it was Chase Claypool and Juju, and want something? Juju was still putting in work.
And Efren, remember Big Ben season when he was terrible, absolutely terrible.
Yeah, he put in
more than 10 yards.
Yeah, Juju put in a lot of work with Pittsburgh with his 15 receptions the last year he was there. In his 5 games that he played, he was ass.
Big Ben was worse. But so then, how much money did Juju make for the Chiefs? What was that contract, KJ?
$11 million 1 year.
But that's the point, though. Like Efren, like you just said, like we said, he was never close to being out the league because the Chiefs, the best organization right now in the league, gave him $11 million. They thought he was an $11 million player, so he was never close to even being out the league. I
don't know, man. I'm just saying, I feel like Odell has a better chance of getting a long-term contract than you guys think, and it's just my opinion. Like you said, we'll have to see.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah,
we'll figure it out. We'll come back in a couple of weeks, and we'll start finding out more information. But this was a good podcast, guys. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, like and subscribe. Just let us know what you think. Any opinions on this Odell Beckham? Let us know about players that you guys know that have been going through this before that you guys have read about. Just let us know. That's what this is. This podcast is about. Just trying to find out information like this, and just going on from there, knowing your opinions. So, just for that saying, you guys have a good day, and that's it. See you guys next week.